What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I wanted to tell you why wrestling is the #1 best singular martial art for both self-defense and combat sport. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Wrestling is the oldest and most instinctive form of hand-to-hand combat on the planet. It has its origins dating back thousands if not millions of years practiced in a variety of both ancient and recent cultures around the world. From the Greeks to the Chinese and the indigenous tribes of African and Polynesian people, along with the 20th century American and Russian forms of wrestling as well. And it's also the way that our primal ancestors fought each other as well. So it's a form of fighting that has had by far the longest time to grow and develop. And of all the hundreds of martial arts that exist all around the world, it's one of the very few that is applicable to both combat sports and self-defense. Wrestling is of most benefit in many ways when compared to other grappling arts. From a self-defense point of view, wrestlers are built tough, they are so freakishly strong, both physically and mentally, and it addresses the real reality of how most street fights end up in the first place, which are usually big scuffle fests. Very rarely will the self-defense encounter include any kind of striking. It addresses self-defense better than MMA, where the practitioner is a little bit skilled in a variety of techniques, but in a real fight, that's not what you want. What you want is to be able to control your opponent with absolute authority and restrain them, and be able to defend yourself against takedowns and be able to dictate where the fight takes place, whether it be up on your feet or on the ground. And unlike judo or BJJ, wrestling can defend you from a legal point of view, because it is the only fighting art that allows you to restrain your opponent without seriously hurting them, for which when you end up in court later, that would most likely rule in your favour. Because in other arts like judo, usually just entail chucking your opponent onto the solid concrete, or with BJJ, breaking their arm or leg, which is not ideal at all. Very, very dangerous and can get you into serious trouble. Which is not to say that wrestling isn't capable of things like that as well. It definitely is, but at least with wrestling you have more of a choice whether you want to seriously hurt them or just submit them. So it's great legal wise and practical fighting wise. And any striking art can just do your opponent too much damage and can land you in prison, and overall it's just less effective in a fight. And plus, if you're a person who has trained in judo, you could be in for a rude awakening, as there will be no gis worn in this fight, because while you're training you're so used to wearing the gi and manipulating your opponent's gi in order to execute those moves, but in a real fight that won't be an option, so that can be an ultimate downfall as well, just saying. And wrestling can also defend against weapons as well, and that's why police self-defense training is mostly wrestling, with some techniques from other martial arts that are guaranteed to do damage, but as a police officer, your job is to fight crime on a daily basis, so therefore you're more authorized to use those deadly moves under certain circumstances, even though the base of your self-defense training is mostly wrestling. And just one thing that I'll say about MMA in comparison to wrestling. If an MMA practitioner fought a wrestler to the death, the outcome would either be a fair fight for both of them, or the wrestler would most likely come out on top as the winner, because the wrestler can take hits. They've been through the grinds, they've been through the toughness, they've been through it all. Think about it, if Batman were real, even with all his non-lethal gadgets, he would struggle without wrestling. And as far as combat sports are concerned, the best MMA fighters of all time all come from wrestling backgrounds. Most of them anyway. Henry Cejudo, Daniel Cormier, John Jones, Kamaru Usman, Brock Lesnar, Yoel Romero, GSP, Islam Makhachev, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib grew up wrestling bear cubs as a boy. He's the only person in the history of all UFC to have never lost a fight. That to me is more impressive than any other fighter who holds the title in 2 different weight divisions. That to me doesn't mean anything if they have still lost fights. MMA champions that rely mostly on their striking, such as Robert Whittaker or Israel Adesanya, to become the champion of their weight division, they need to address 2 main wrestling techniques. 1. Takedown defense, and 2. Get back up if taken down. Okay, I hope you all enjoyed this in-depth analytical breakdown of wrestling. Now I just want to let you know, I'm not biased at all towards wrestling, I just wanted to give an objective answer as to what the best singular martial art was, because you can't just say it's MMA, right? Because all MMA does is take bits and pieces from other martial arts. Please like and hit the bell notification so you never miss a new video upload in the future. I'm signing off.